It's the 4th of September 2021 at 3:41 p.m. And on the 22nd of August that just went past, it was the Festival of the Hungry Ghost, or that's when it began. In the belief in the East, or in Buddhism, on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, the gates of hell open and you have all the spirits, the hungry ghosts that they're referred to, come and are amongst us for a whole month. But I never really quite understood it. And I know that with Buddhism, growing up, there's a lot of relationships with the spiritual world or the afterlife, which is, to my Western mind, I thought a bit weird. But nobody explains anything when you're younger, right? So there were things that I didn't understand, and I didn't understand the relationship between the afterlife, because everything around Buddhism, like all the festivals and all the incense burning and the altars, etc., is all very related to karma, and karma being, the afterworld or the afterlife, and the spirits, etc., and our relationships with spirits. It's a lot different to how the Western culture kind of paints it in movies, etc. It's actually paints it for, like poltergeists and demons and scary things, whereas in the East, and how my family kind of aren't scared the way that I'm scared of them. Seen a lot of one and the other, and this is a very true representation of who I am in astrology as well. So my sun sign is Scorpio. I've got sun in Scorpio and ascendant in Scorpio, and I've got my moon in Pisces. And I've referenced before that Scorpio is rooted in logical thinking and reasoning. They like to confirm things in the conscious world. So information, data, dichotomies and opposites to derive meaning. Whereas my Pisces is intuitive. So the Pisces moon is about pattern recognition. It's intuitive, which means intuition is about instinctively understanding something without the need for conscious reasoning. So it's very opposite to Scorpio in a way, where it's just about belief without needing to confirm anything. It's just the heart knowing what it knows. And that, to my Scorpio side, is very delusional. This is probably the biggest conflict that I have in that I understand or I'm aware of, that trying to find a balance between the two to make things less chaotic, because it is, majority of my life has been in conflict with each other, where what I believe doesn't go with what is logical out there and vice versa, right? And today I wanted to talk about this a little bit further. And for those who are listening, and depending on where you are in the part of the world you are, or what culture you kind of been brought up in, it does paint a picture of what shade of grey you are. And I believe that everybody in this world is a certain level of shade of grey. It's not just as simple as the Scorpio wants it to be, as being white or black. I mean, those are the two contrasting points that kind of we need to derive meaning, but then we need to learn to accept that we are actually grey and not just black and white. It's not just about, birth and death, because that hasn't happened yet. We're living in life which is the in-between. And I talk about black and white and the pendulum with Scorpio quite a bit, and my struggles in the past with dealing with grey. Or the thing is that we need to remember that Scorpios were born from chaos. What it's about is to be able to accept the in-between, the greyness, as okay, and that it's alright, because the in-between, that place that you don't know what's going on, blah, 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 that blurriness is so uncomfortable for Scorpios, because you don't get what's going on, you don't know. And when you don't know, you're terrified, you're freaking out. Coming from someone, myself, who is very in between and spent whole life trying to get information, because I was brought up in an Asian culture, right? I was born in Asia. I was brought up in a very Asian family. That's a very Eastern culture kind of concept, which is completely different to what the Western world is. And I was brought up in Australia. I came here when I was very young. So I learnt from in school and, you know, in with friends, etc., out there in school, a different way of living, which is contrasting what I was being brought up at home. So I kind of have been brought up with two concepts without ever understanding that there was two, that there was black and white. This greyness, and this is the greyness that's been uncomfortable because I don't know what it is. So, but the thing is, today I want to talk about the one and the other, and we're going to talk about the Hungry Ghost Festival. And I want you to keep in mind that I'm describing a belief or festival of the East. And to keep in mind that you can't have one without the other, as yin and yang represents. There's a bit of black in the white and a bit of white in the black, and we all essentially are relative to each other. We are just one. So the way that this Hungry Ghost Festival, if you just have a listen to this monk explain what it is, and he's going to talk about spirits or ghosts and what hungry ghosts are. And I bring this up because it is, apparently these gates open for this whole month, and it really had me thinking, because I didn't understand this, how this monk explains it, because this monk is very modernized and he's very much using Western concepts and words, etc., to explain something that doesn't make sense. He's trying to make sense of the nonsense, right? And when I look at this and my information with what I understand about the world, this kind of really hit me across the side of my head, because I can't help but form a relationship between mental health and the spiritual world. And I really want you guys, anyone who's the Sun and Scorpio, Pisces moon, or anyone that is watching this or will watch this to the end, I would love to know what your thoughts are about it and how it makes you feel, not just what makes you think. Because you can't have one without the other. Because sometimes I feel the information, sometimes I believe it, and I know I believe it because my heart, I can feel that, but my head doesn't accept it because it's not reasonable. It doesn't make sense. And this is the conflict that I have internally. And, you know, when I look at religions, etc., my whole family chose to become Buddhist, like officially, when my father was passing, because they wanted to still be linked soul-wise, the souls to be linked or rooted to something. And I chose not to, because I didn't feel that it was appropriate for me, because I asked my own questions and I formed my own path. But then after learning about all of this, I kind of sit there here and go, am I going to be one of those lost souls? Because as soon as he described these hungry ghosts, I was just like, it just feels that it was uncomfortably relatable, these souls, these hungry ghosts.
I had the feeling that she is not a human being. She was like a ghost. I knew right away that she was one of the hungry ghosts of our society. Coming from a broken family, coming from a society that does not recognize you, that has made you suffer. Coming from a tradition that is not capable of nourishing you, communicate to you. And in the past 12 years, I have met several hungry ghosts like that. They are without any root. They don't believe in their family. They get angry at their parents. They get angry at their society. They get angry at their tradition. They want to leave everything behind and go around looking for something to belong to, looking for something beautiful, something good, something true to believe in. Many of them have come to practice centers like Plum Village. It's very difficult to help these people. They have no roots. It's very difficult for them to absorb the teaching because they don't trust easily. You have to do your best in order to earn the trust before you can help. Our society is organized in such a way that we produce tens of thousands of hungry ghosts every day. They have not received love from their parents, their society, their tradition. Nobody has understood them. That is why they are very hungry of love and understanding. And they are looking for something to believe in. And hungry ghosts, even if they have a big belly like this, they have a very tiny throat. As small as a needle, it is described in the sacred text. Hungry ghosts have a throat that is as small as a needle. So even if you have a lot to offer, it's very difficult for them to absorb. Even if you have plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of love to offer, it's difficult for them to absorb because nobody has understood them, nobody has loved them. They suspect everything, they suspect everyone. We have helped a certain number of hungry ghosts like that. We know that it is difficult. We know that we need each other in order to help. We have to reorganize our society in such a way that we stop producing more hungry ghosts. This is very important. And we should practice looking deeply in order to be able to understand these hungry ghosts and not to continue to blame them, because they have not received any understanding and therefore any love. Each person, in order to be happy and stable, should have at least two families. The first is the blood family, in which father and mother represent the youngest generation of ancestors. If your parents are happy with each other, they'll be able to transmit to you the values of your ancestors, the love and trust that are in them in form of seeds. And you have roots in your blood family. If you are in good terms with your parents, you are connected with your ancestors through your parents. But if you are not in good terms with your parents, you get disconnected with all your ancestors. You become a person without roots. And you can become very easily a hungry ghost. The other family is the spiritual family. You also have ancestors. And if the people who represent your tradition are not happy enough, if they have not been lucky enough in order to receive the jewels of your tradition, they would not be able to transmit them to you. They would not be able to understand you and your needs. They could impose on you things you don't like. Communication between them and you is not possible. You suffer and you want to get away from your own tradition. And if you are in bad terms with your rabbi, with your pastor, with your priest, you get disconnected with your spiritual ancestors. And you become a hungry ghost. And having so much suffering within yourself, you make the person you love suffer. And if you have children, you make them suffer also. And they too will become hungry ghosts. That is why it's so important to practice looking deeply to find out what is wrong with our families, what is wrong within our blood family, what is wrong within our spiritual family. The practice of mindful looking may be very helpful in order for you to understand your parents and the people who represent your tradition. If your parents cannot embody the values of your ancestors, if your priest, your rabbi, your pastor cannot embody the values of your tradition, there must be causes. We have to look deeply. And when we are capable of looking deeply, the insight will come, and that will help us to accept, to have compassion, and going back home to help them, to help our parents, to help our rabbi, our priest, our pastor will become possible. There is a young American who came to Plum Village and told me that he was so angry at his father, to the point that even after his father's passing away, he still could not reconcile with him. And I helped him by the teaching of the emptiness of transmission. Emptiness of transmission is a way of looking deeply in order to recognize that you are one with your parents. You are only a continuation of your parents. Getting angry at your parents is to get angry at yourself. When we talk about transmission, we talk about the one who transmits. We talk about the object transmitted, and we talk about the receiver of the transmission, three things. When you have a chance to take a shower, when you take a shower, you have a chance to look at your body as the object of transmission. And you think of your parents as the transmitters, your body, your consciousness as the object transmitted, and you are the receiver of the transmission. But looking deeply, we see that three of them are empty, of a separate self. The question we ask is, what did your parents transmit? And if you practice looking deeply, you will see that your parents transmitted themselves to you. Your body and all the seeds that you carry within your consciousness are your parents. They did not transmit anything less than themselves. All the seeds of suffering, all seeds of happiness and talent, they receive from their ancestors. They have transmitted everything to you. So the transmitters and the transmitted are one, and you are also one with the object transmitted. So you cannot escape the fact that you are only the continuation of your father. You are your father. And to reconcile with your father is to reconcile with yourself. There is no other way. That young man, he put a picture of his father on his desk and with a little lamp. Every time he get close to his desk, he would look in the eyes of his father and practice breathing in and out. And to touch the fact that he is his father. He is only a continuation of his father. And he realized the fact that his father was not capable of transmitting to him the seed of love and trust that lie deep in his consciousness, because he did not have the capacity to do so. He was not helped by anyone to touch these seeds in order to get nourished back. And of course, the seed of trust and love in him was covered up by so many layers of suffering. And when you have become aware of that, you can forgive, you can understand.
And it's like I've always been sitting in between one and the other. And when I listen to this monk talk about this, my Western mind goes, there's an opposite of this that is the exact same thing. And I can't help but think of mental health. I would love to know what you guys think about it at the end. Please let me know if your thoughts or how it made you feel, you know. Thanks, guys.